Now let's build out the eye area of our dinosaur. So whenever we're working with a character, or in this case a creature like this that we need to add an eye to, we need to create it in a certain way so that it can open and close. And usually that's going to be creating loops around the eye. Okay, so right now we just have this geometry that flows sort of from the front to the back. Let's go ahead and add a sphere so we know where the eye is going to be. So we'll go ahead and just add a parametric sphere, and let's kind of move it up into position in the area where we know the eye is going to be. So let's go ahead and move it up over here. I'm going to go into the attributes. Let's take the radius down a bit. So maybe something more like that. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and just rotate the pole so that it's facing out. And I'm also going to move the eye out this way. And then back a little bit. Move it in. And we'll leave it there for now, just to kind of give us an idea of where that eyeball is going to be. So now we'll go ahead and select the cube. And to create a loop, series of loops coming around here, we need to do it kind of gradually. So I'm going to go ahead and take this point, and let me go ahead and change the modeling axis to normal. And I'm going to just kind of pull that down a little bit. Let's take these 4 polygons, and we want to go ahead, right click, and do an extrude inner. Okay, so activate that, and you can see that that's not pulling the geometry out from the surface, it's doing an extrude along the surface. So because this is such a large area, I'll usually do 1 or 2 and then kind of tweak the points a little bit, just so it's not an abrupt change. We kind of get a little bit more of a blending into that loop structure. So gradually kind of pull some of these points in to create a little bit more of a round shape while still maintaining the sort of curvature of the head. Okay, and we need to actually bring this one down a little bit. And let's go ahead and bring this down, and this one. All right, let's go ahead and do that again. I'll do another extrude inner. Okay, and then we can start to kind of, again, tweak these points so that they're in a better position. We need to kind of move all of this stuff down a little bit. So we'll just kind of tweak these points and get them closer to being right around that sphere. Now keep in mind, once you've got this structure created, it's real easy to come in and add extra resolution. So you don't have to do, add all of your resolution right at this point. You just want to be able to build in that that geometry, that topology, so that you have that flexibility later. So I'll come in and just kind of around this, bring this up around the eye. Okay, kind of pulling that around. Same thing up here. Kind of bringing that down. Okay, now you can see how some of the points have gotten sort of off of the surface, so I can go ahead and bring those back down a little bit. Okay. Now at some point you can come in and actually get rid of those faces. So we can come in, and with those faces selected, we can just delete those. We can go ahead and get rid of, get rid of the point that was in the center there. Bring our cube back, or our sphere back, sorry. Okay, and then we can go ahead and treat these like we would kind of our eyelids. So I want to create kind of a round frame around this eyeball. And we should be able to get a nice, again, assuming we're going to be smoothing this, a nice smooth circle with the 8 points that we have going around. So go ahead and bring this down and kind of try to even it up a little bit. Okay. Now at this point we can come in with our knife and start to add extra loops. Okay, so coming in there we can add a loop, and this loop maybe is right under the bone. Kind of, we can push that back in a little bit. Okay, and you just want to start from here, building this up and creating this kind of overlapping look here. Okay, so we can come in and now let's add one more loop in here, and then we can grab this end and just bring it right down really, really close and maybe overlapping a little bit the sphere. Okay, so just bringing this all the way down. I don't want it to intersect with the sphere because I want to add a little bit of thickness to it, but I want it to be close. And so you may need to tweak some of the other points to get them a little bit further away. Okay, bring this in a little bit closer, and then this corner needs to come in quite a bit. Can bring it in here, and then up here we'll bring this down. Oops. Kind of bring it over in the X, down in the Y, back in the Z. Again, leaving a little bit of room there. Okay. Now we need to kind of clean that area up, but I want to add some thickness for this lid. So I can go ahead and select those, or I can just select outline to select that. Go ahead and do an extrude. There we go. And kind of extrude that in. You can change the angle. And so I want to change that angle until it's kind of going back in and intersecting with the eye. And if it's still not quite intersecting far enough, you can go ahead and just move it back in. Oop. You do want to make sure, though, if I select that, you want to make sure that you don't select the entire edge. So you can see here, I have the entire edge, both outlines selected. So I don't want that. So I just want to make sure that I deselect any of those edges. So I'm only working with the eye. I don't want to inadvertently extrude anything that I don't want it included in that. So again, extrude it down in towards the eye. And then if you still have some points that are not quite far enough back, you can go ahead and bring those back manually. Okay, and then from this point, I would just go ahead and add some more edge loops in here using the knife. Okay, and start to add a little bit of the detail in here for the lid. So maybe this, you bring this out a little bit and then alternate. Maybe this gets pushed in a little. Okay, to add that sort of organic folded detail around the eyes. All right, so now we've got that nice loop geometry that's coming really from these 4 faces, the initial faces, and then you can kind of take these and blend them together a little bit more if you want to. Okay. All right, so once we've got our eyes added, the next thing that we want to do is to go ahead and finish up the head. We can work on the interior of the mouth. We can clean up some of the topology back here, add maybe some nostrils up in the front, and just generally finish this out, add a little bit of detail back here. So we'll go ahead and do that next.